The referees have finally responded, and no, it wasn't with a whistle. It was with a...
Today, the referees gave the report on the situation, and it's even worse. It's even worse than I imagined, and it was pretty grim. Like, it was a pretty grim overall, it was a pretty grim overall situation. So, obviously, let's, as a refresher, let's take a look at what happened.
Political or even personal, it stops being about calls on the court and starts being about power off it. Because when the people... Our responsibility is to uphold the rules of the game without fear, favor, or influence. We officiate the game, not the name.
Sheldon's foul upgrade to flagrant 1. In the judgment of the officials, the foul by Sheldon was unnecessary. The contact to Clark's face. Furthermore, there was a wind-up and impact, and the contact to face carries potential for injury. How did you come to the conclusion that that is a flagrant 1? How did you come up to the conclusion that it was unnecessary? There was a wind-up, and it was to the face. The three of them that is a flagrant 2. By definition, you have described a flagrant 2. Unnecessary contact, wind-up and unnecessary. The two of those can be a flagrant 2. And face. You have described why was it a flagrant 2. You have just described a flagrant 2 as your answer for why it was upgraded to a flagrant 1. You have just...
On the surface, reasonable. But read between the lines and something cracks. That final phrase, not the name, is a rhetorical grenade. Because if you're saying you don't officiate based on name, you're admitting that some people think you do. And if you need to say that at all, it means the pressure is getting to you. This wasn't just a denial, it was a message. And not just to the fans, but to the players. This wasn't a press release, it was a power play. Let's be real, we are the law on this court, and if you question us, we'll question you. Which raises a fundamental problem. In a league trying to grow, to welcome millions of new fans and mainstream attention, do you really want your officials playing political chess with your biggest stars? Because this isn't just about Caitlin Clark or Sophie Cunningham anymore. It's about whether refs are becoming enforcers of culture instead of interpreters of rules. Let's revisit that line again. We officiate the game, not the name. That's not neutrality, that's a jab, whether they meant it that way or not. It implies that some players, probably Caitlin Clark, are getting media-driven sympathy, that public outcry is unwarranted, that we, the viewers, are the problem. But here's the twist. They're right, and also very, very wrong. If you're going to call it fair, then call it fair. The tape doesn't lie, the inconsistencies are there, the emotion is real, and the trust, it's eroding. When refs start seeing themselves as above criticism, they stop seeing the players as humans, and they start treating legitimacy like it's optional. This didn't start with Clark or Cunningham. These aren't isolated moments, they're cracks in a system that's been under strain for years. The WNBA has lagged in transparency, no last 2-minute reports, accountability, rare disciplinary action for bad calls, communication, vague officiating guidelines with no public breakdown.
Mabry of the Connecticut Sun comes in and just shoves her, like decks her to the ground, right to the floor. And we're playing the feud on a Tuesday night in the WNBA. And it's on. And the officials give a tech to Sheldon for poking Clark, and then they give a tech to Clark for shoving Sheldon, and Mabry doesn't get ejected. I mean, she just came in, third woman in, shoved Clark to the floor, and she doesn't get the gate. And then later on in the fourth quarter, Clark buries a 3 over Sheldon to give the Fever an insurmountable lead. And she's barking at Sheldon as she's going to the bench because the Sun are calling for time. And she's clearly saying something back at Sheldon, who watched the 3 get buried by Clark in a 20-point night, by the way. And Clark starts yelling at her own crowd and rallying them and throwing her arms up in the air and walking from her huddle, out of the huddle, across the floor to the other side of fans who are going absolutely nuts.
Now the league's under the microscope, and instead of reform, we get attitude. This is what happens when authority goes unchecked. It protects itself instead of improving itself. And when that happens, the fans stop believing in the whistle. The players stop trusting the process. And the game, it suffers. There's a reason why this matters now, more than ever. The WNBA is in the midst of a seismic shift. Millions of new fans are tuning in. Brands are investing. Athletes are becoming global icons. That kind of growth threatens the old hierarchy, where refs, execs, and insiders controlled the narrative. But now, the players are the draw, the fans are vocal, the media is relentless. So when refs respond, not with clarity, but with condescension, it reads like a backlash, a pushback against change.
Even if you look at this play where JC Sheldon eventually swipes Caitlin in the eyeball, she had contact with her like 4 to 5 times. That should have been called a foul before the eye swipe even happened. Referees, what are you doing? Open your eyes. Open your eyes.
This is no longer a league where the gatekeepers can gatekeep in silence. So now we ask the bigger question. Who actually holds the power? The referees think they do, and for years, they did. They went largely unquestioned. No accountability, no public review, no transparency reports like the NBA's last 2 minutes. But the culture has changed. Now, every missed call becomes a meme. Every no call becomes a trending topic. There are slow motion replays, Twitter freeze frames, fan-run stat breakdowns. The fans aren't guessing anymore. They're watching closely. And when fans see inconsistency, they don't blame bad luck. They blame bias, favoritism, or worse, corruption.
What went into deciding Marina Mabrey should get a technical foul instead of something more severe? The contact made by Mabrey did not rise to the level of an ejection. Additionally, it did not meet the criteria for flagrant penalty 2. Like what exactly, did not rise to the level of an ejection? I'm sorry, what? Did she have to have, for it to be a level of an ejection, did she have to injure Caitlin, or did she have to injure the referee? She almost went through the ref's knee, by the way. I don't think people realize it. She nearly went through the ref's knee. But,
call out 2 things on this play specifically. I want to call out Tina Charles because I have mad respect for her for how she handled that situation. She immediately went over to defend her teammate in JC Sheldon. Tina Charles runs over and was blocking her, and then Marina Mabrey, when she comes out of nowhere, Tina Charles immediately puts her hands up and backs away because she didn't want that to be like I didn't do that, essentially, was what she was saying. I didn't do that. And I don't think that she was trying to do that. I don't think she was trying to be physical. I think she was trying to stick up for her teammate because that's what you need to do, but de-escalate the situation, not make it something that it turned into, which is what Marina Mabrey did.
And right now, the officiating culture doesn't seem to respect the players, the fans, or the moment. The referees had a chance to take the high road. Instead, they doubled down. And in doing so, they made one thing very, very clear. This isn't just about calls. It's about who gets to define what WNBA basketball should look like. Here's the truth. You can't grow a league, can't market personality, then punish emotion. And you definitely can't build trust while hiding behind vague statements and defensive language. The referees had a moment to lead. Instead, they chose to protect the old system. But the WNBA, it's already moved on. The players are the faces, the fans are the momentum. And the game, if it wants to survive, will have to follow the truth. Because once fans stop believing in the whistle, they start believing in something else. That maybe the system isn't broken. Maybe it was rigged to begin with.
In the 4th quarter, why is Sophie Cunningham's upgrade to a flagrant 2? Fair enough. We felt that the contact by Cunningham was unnecessary and excessive. Why did JC Sheldon and Lindsay Allen get assessed technicals for fighting? The altercation that occurred after foul by Sophie, we ruled as a fight. Fair enough. Sheldon and Lindsay Allen were both escalators in the altercation, therefore they were ejected for fighting. They just didn't need to eject Lindsay Allen. Just eject JC Sheldon, eject Sophie Cunningham. And by the way, Sophie Cunningham deserved the ejection. Absolutely deserved the ejection. I'm just saying that right now. Sophie Cunningham 100% deserved the ejection. I'm not out here saying that she didn't. But at the end of the day, the referees lost control of the game. And then there's a player like Sophie Cunningham on the court. It was always going to happen. And Sophie Cunningham not only getting one back for Caitlin, it's not like JC Sheldon wasn't involved didn't jump through Sid Colson's knee the last game. It's not like that entire team did not want to take JC Sheldon out. Sophie Cunningham just did it. But yeah, honestly, this is a pathetic response by the referees, I'm not gonna lie.